It's Edge Radio Australia, just hit 1 o'clock. It must be
Just
time.
keep on interrupting.
You will just keep interrupting. Look at that. He loves doing that.
Conversation.
You
I
just
can't
that's
hear
fine.
me.
That's fine. You can't? It's good. Well, maybe we've turned you off. I've certainly been trying.
The shirt has already turned me off, mate.
Like I was saying, it is the Crypto Hour of Power. Of course, that means Brandon's in, mate. And you haven't actually referenced my mother yet, so I think you're doing well. We're 10 seconds in.
Well, we're early. Still can't hear myself, man.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out later. I did ask you to check, but that's all right.
I've only got one bloody job, mate.
Jeez, I don't know. Now, we've got a guest in the studio, mate. Would you like to do the introductions?
Yes, we do. We have in person, right? Not over the phone.
No.
He's made the effort. It's Jeremy from Bradshaw and Knox. Jeremy's been in crypto for some time now. He's pretty much an OG when it comes to like hacks, and he was involved with liquid loans. The guy's just done a lot, especially with Bradshaw and Knox, security and setting up wallets correctly, that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, what we normally do is. We start off with you just giving your little resume, a little like how you got into crypto, what you're currently working on, mate. So introduce yourself a lot better than what I just did, okay? Which wouldn't be hard.
I was going to say that shouldn't take too much.
Set higher goals, right?
Thanks for having me again. So this is the third time I've been on this show, and I don't want to sort of cover too much old ground, so I'll do a quick rundown on who I am, and then want to try and sort of expand on a few topics we've talked about previously. Jeremy from Bradshaw Knox. My whole spiel is I've been in the IT industry for a long time, very much a security focus my whole time I was in that industry. Went into the investing property development arena, done that for over a decade and a half, and the two worlds collided where now I apply my sort of IT skills and security skills and my investment knowledge in the crypto space. So that's my main thing I do at the moment is I help a lot of people in just making sure that they're doing the custody of their assets correctly and securely and planning for the future for when the inevitable happens. And no one likes to think about this, but maybe you go get hit by a bus or something silly. Yep. What happens to your assets then? How do you transfer those to other people? So that's sort of my main focus of things at the moment.
So what, like a kill switch?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, have some way where you can keep all your information safe, but pass that on to someone without giving away too much information in the meantime.
Right, because there's so many stories we hear about in the crypto world. People go, oh, I lost this, I lost that, whatever, because of course, we joked about it before we came on air, but okay, if I'm left to remember a seed phrase or, a password, I have 60,000 passwords. I don't know. I ring friends and say, what are they?
Yeah, and that's so you've got to find that balance, don't you? Because you want to store it securely, but you don't want to make it too easy for someone to get the funds. So you've got to have... We basically take a layered approach and put different things in and protect against different things. So what you choose to implement will be determined by what is it you're trying to protect against. Is it your own dumb self from screwing up, or is it from someone malicious breaking into your house, or to something nefarious online?
I'm going to throw something straight in right off the bat. I know I go down this
path. Whose bloody
of
show is this, mate?
I know. How rude of me. I'm just here to press buttons. But in this case, okay, now, not in the crypto space. I had on a completely different thing on social media, okay? I had a breakup many years ago and a very, very, very nasty ex-wife, right, who did disgusting things to my social media, right? Now, that's because she was aware of passwords. She was aware of also the way I think and all of that, and so was able to do to literally track me like a dog. Right now, when we're talking about people's personal wealth, this is an issue, right? When people know you really well. So how do you protect yourself against even that?
It's tricky, and it depends. What are you trying to protect against in particular? But that's why I say you've got to have that layered approach. And the way I look at things is trust no one.
Okay.
So even, and this is horrible to say, even with my wife, I set things up so that she doesn't necessarily know all of my personal access details and things like that.
Sure.
But if something happens to me, there's an avenue where she can get hold of those. So there's a handover type thing.
Smart move.
I think that's the approach you have to take.
Sure.
And it's not that I distrust my wife.
No.
It's that I know her security hygiene online is probably not where I would want it to be. So I don't want to put my assets at risk by exposing, I guess, more attack vectors with someone else's shortcomings.
Well, to me, you kind of trust in your wife even more because, I mean, if she knows you've got access to all your stuff, if you're no longer around, she's probably motivated to kill you.
Well,
you reckon that bus might come a bit quicker?
I used to always say that. Never insure yourself. Never have the life insurance too high. That's an incentive. Okay.
That's right. All right. So getting back to the crypto side of things.
Yep.
So it's Bradshaw and Knox.
Bradshaw Knox. Yeah.
Bradshaw Knox, not and. So Bradshaw Knox, .com.au.
Yeah, bradshawknox.com. Yep.
Yeah, cool. All righty. All right, let's throw into a bit of crypto. What I want to start off with talking about is stable coins and the use cases for them. Because, I mean, stable coins have been around for a long time now. There have been some issues. I think they're a great product, as long as they're backed correctly, that sort of stuff. So, like Tron, for example, with remittances in China. Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah. So stablecoins although they seem relatively boring, we got into crypto because, let's face it, a lot of us got into crypto because of the mad gains, and the stablecoins don't give you mad gains. That's not their design.
If anything, they depreciate because they're pegged to the dollar.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. But what they've turned out to be is a absolutely spectacular way of moving money around the globe without relying on banks.
Yep. Sure.
And so they're permissionless. So anyone can now essentially open up a bank account, receive funds, and transfer funds at low costs to and from anywhere around the world.
And pretty much instant.
Yeah. And that's so I threw in the Tron thing just as a blockchain. I don't actually particularly like it. I never use it, but in India it has got massive adoption because it has become that platform for transferring stablecoins. So,
well, why is that? I mean, how did that happen? Are there just good marketing in India, or
a little bit of both? So, the founder, Justin Sun, he is based in Asia, and
works for the Communist Party of China,
possibly. And effectively, it was a really cheap, fast blockchain to operate on. So that's why people like it, because it's unfortunately on Ethereum and on Bitcoin, the cost to move funds around became quite expensive.
Yep.
On Bitcoin, you can't even move a stable coin, but on Ethereum, you can move stable coins around. But in the height of the market, $20 to do a transaction and things like that, which is, if you want to move a small amount of money around, it's not really tenable.
Yep.
So that's where Tron has found a real use case, is in the stablecoin market. But that's really the big play that's happening across the board at the moment is stablecoins.
Yep.
And that's also where we're getting a lot of regulation to step in and want to try and regulate.
Because I actually want to ask you a question on that. Now, on one of our other shows, The Greater Wealth, we were talking about a very similar thing with the level of regulation when you're transferring money internationally and the big delays. Now, a counter argument that was sort of, because I was, quite frankly, very much against it. I like the crypto side of things. It's so quick, right, and smaller fees. And their counter argument was pretty much the fact that the delay is very much the regulation that is there to protect you.
Protect you.
Yes. Now, whenever the government
in
wants
air quotes,
to, yes, exactly. When the government wants to protect me, suddenly all of a sudden I'm American and I'm looking for my weapons. But no, I think it's just whenever you hear that term, but that is the argument. That's counter argument. Now, so in crypto, what mechanisms are in place to actually protect you there?
Yeah, well, we're going full circle again in terms of what are you trying to protect against.
Sure.
And I would argue that the average person on the street isn't into money laundering, funding terrorism, or anything like that. They just want to live a peaceful life.
Spot on.
I've travelled all around the world, and everywhere I go, I don't even know why we have wars, because everyone I've met when I've been travelling, they just want to get on with their life and have a peaceful life.
Sure.
Now, obviously, there are people that do nefarious things.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what tool you have. If someone wants to be nefarious, they'll find a way to play the system or use it to their advantage. And we've got to a stage where they've put in so many rules and regulations that I think they've actually forgotten what they're trying to protect against. And the amount of spend that goes on this AML and KYC stuff far outweighs the benefit we get from it.
Okay.
So I think we're just way heavily overly regulated, and I mean we can go down the rabbit hole on why that is, and I think we have done that a few times on this show. So I didn't want to. I wanted to sort of stay a little bit away from that today, and let's talk about maybe some of the things that are getting done by grassroots communities to work around some of these issues.
Action.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, the governments can't keep up with it anyway because the tech and it's moving so fast, you know.
Yeah.
I think it was Milton Friedman that said the scariest sentence in the world is, "Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Exactly, yeah.
So that's where we're kind of circumventing them in crypto, you know, because they cannot keep up.
And to me, that's the great benefit, to be frank.
Yep.
Yeah. I just love the permissionless access that we get with these technologies these days. That's what it should be about. Like, we're all bound by our governments and the way they excuse me, got a bit of a frog in my throat. We're all bound by our governments and the capital controls they put in place, and this is a game changer for generations coming forward behind us.
Sure.
So I think we've gone through this big information age, and that's been absolutely awesome, and it's meant that you don't necessarily need to step into an institution like a university to upskill yourself and improve your position in life.
Unless you want to do gender studies, of course. But
Yes. Transitioning in some way.
And I think what we're going through is the second and third wave of that now with money.
Sure.
So that's getting really democratised now, where we're going to have that same freedom of money that we have with information over the past few years, and then you layer on top of that all the AI stuff that's coming out, and it's pretty crazy what we're staring down the barrel of.
Yeah, big changes.
Well,
It is, yeah.
Well, money to me is information.
It
Right?
is, yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like it's expressing, your choice.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
so
for
if
sure.
I choose to buy something, it has nothing to do with the government or anyone else.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
as long as it's not hurting anyone. But then if it hurts someone, you don't get money in trouble for that. You actually get in trouble for impeding on their personal values. Like it's like driving a car and speeding.
Sure.
I think should not be illegal, right? But if you crash into someone, absolutely.
There you go.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So more responsibility on the cause of action as opposed to the action itself. All right. Sorry, just a little segue there.
Yeah, I think you bang on. Like,
It's freedom of speech.
Yeah,
that's
it is.
right. It is freedom of
It is.
speech, and if you take away someone's right to earn or way of earning money, then they've got no.
Well, you've got no
of speech.
freedom. I realise now, I've been through different passages in life, okay? And I realise when I had more money, I had a lot more freedom.
Exactly,
Really
yeah.
that simple. And money might not buy happiness, but it can rent it for a while. And I can tell you right now, it can buy a lot of opportunities and a lot of options. And when you haven't got if you haven't got control of your own money, if your bank account's been frozen because you've said the wrong thing on social media or transferred too much or whatever, no, this is a massive pressure on your freedom of speech and your freedom of expression. Full
Yep.
stop.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just your money, your choice. You know?
Yeah. So what I've sort of seen play out in the blockchain industry over the last few years is started off very much about freedom of speech and like the crypto,
autonomy.
sort of the cypherpunk sort of movement.
Yep.
And what we've seen over time is all the VCs and everything have started to move into the industry and fund the development, and essentially it's sort of getting driven back to the old days.
Corporate.
Yeah. So big tech sort of style. So we've seen that sort of flow through, and we're seeing a lot more institutions come in this cycle, and probably a lot more to come before this cycle's complete. But along with that, every time you bring in these corporations, they're bound to the rules of regulation that governments lay down on them because they're registered in those areas. So it starts to then mean that they have to start to put lockdowns on this protocol that should be free speech.
Oh, the moment you use the term lockdown, you get me fired up.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah, so because they're they've registered with as an organisation in their jurisdiction. So when a government comes and says, okay, well, if you're going to register, you've got to play by our rules, and our rules says, okay, this technology may be free and easy open access, but if you're going to develop, say, a website where people access it from, we're going to lock you down at that entry point.
Yep.
And that's what we've sort of seen play out over the last few years, and it's getting worse and worse. And with the introduction of stable coins and things like that, they want to try and put in these blockages so that they can control the flow of funds.
Yep.
All right, let's take a break.
For your benefit, though. It's all for your benefit.
for sure.
Because that's what governments care about. They care about me.
Thanks, mate. It's for your safety. Just remember that. Ed Radio Australia, one of your favourite songs, mate. Full stop. What is this one?
Oh, I can't hear it.
You haven't got your headphones on, mate. Jeez.
The headphones aren't working. I have to explain that to
Pound
you.
Cake, mate.
Oh, yes, it's a great song.
Ed Radio Australia.
Because you did choose it.
Just talk amongst yourselves. It's fun. No problem. It's just radio.
Sorry.
No big deal.
My headphones work yet?
Oh, I don't care. I don't care. It's Edge Radio Australia.
Maybe its ears are broken.
It could be.
What?
Oh, look, we did test them before, so maybe.
No, they're broken, mate.
Oh, Crypto Hour of Power. And look, we've got a special guest in, as I say. Would you like to run through the introductions again with Jeremy? What do you want to do?
Yeah. No,
do this properly,
Jeremy's
mate.
still here.
Yeah, he has.
He hasn't run
anywhere.
yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
All right. Well, we're going to fly straight into it.
We are.
And we're going to talk about Pulse Chain. Pulse is a fork of Ethereum done by Richard Hart, the inventor of Hex. If you don't know about Hex or Pulse Chain, look it up, because I think it's one of the most exciting projects in crypto. Not financial advice, but I reckon that Pulse will probably 1,000x in the next 18 months.
Okay.
I hope it does, mate. I really hope it does.
I'm emptying my piggy bank if that's the case. All right.
Well, when the Hex was released at 10,000x at its top.
Which it sounds insane to have to talk about numbers like that, but that's what this stuff can do. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, put like $1,000 into, like, I don't know, Tesla or something like that, and see if that 1,000x in the next year.
Yeah.
You know, probably not. You know, probably not. But crypto will.
Yeah. Well, look at Apple stock all those years ago, as far as in the mainstream world.
Yeah, but Apple did nothing for many, many years.
Nothing at
all.
all.
You know, and then it fucking zoomed. You know. So, anyways, you're getting lost. So you've been involved in a couple of projects that are on Pulse Chain. Like I said, if you're out there and you don't really understand what Pulse is and how to set it up and all that sort of stuff, I'd be doing some research, because I really think it's a really good project. Or you can just contact us at orangebrickroad.com.au, because we've got guys that specialise in it and people that I actually know, and consultants that's all they own.
Yeah, there you go.
They don't own anything else. Not interested. They're maxis. All right. So throwing back to you, Jeremy.
Yeah, I guess it's probably good to start with a bit of a why. Like, why did Pulse Chain fork off of Ethereum? And there's a number of reasons.
Ethereum's pus.
Well, Ethereum. I beg to differ. Like, I still.
I'm just joking.
I get that. I still love Ethereum. It laid the groundwork for some.
It did.
Really great projects.
It changed crypto.
Followed. Oh, it has. Yeah,
absolutely changed crypto with smart contracts, you know?
Yep, and like, I'm not a maxi about anything. I love Bitcoin as well. I hope it achieves all the goals that the maxis want it to achieve. I really do, because I think there's a place for numerous chains and products, and I think we're going to need them all.
Yeah.
And they all bring something different to the table. So what does Pulse Chain do that's a little bit different? So I mentioned before that a lot of the VCs got their hooks into... VCs, and what I mean by that is the venture capitalists. So these are the guys that come in and shovel in money early into projects or companies.
Sure.
They take all the equity, a big chunk of the equity in the company, and essentially what they're looking for is an exit point. So they want to see the value of this thing go up, and then they're out the door.
By exit point, you mean dump on everyone?
Dump on everyone, exactly. Yeah. And look, they may keep some of it in equity, but a lot of the times they're looking for massive gains, big exit, move on to the next thing, do it again, rinse and repeat. They've got all their customers, and so what we've seen happen is a lot of projects get launched on Ethereum where they're backed by VCs, which has been fantastic, because it means they've provided funding to help develop the cause, which is awesome to see.
Everything.
But inevitably, what we end up seeing is all the retail guys get the pointy end of the stick once again. So we're back to traditional finance where everyone would come in before IPOs and things like that. So it'll go to an IPO that's the public stage. So when they'd list the company.
Initial public offering.
initial public offering, and by that time, a lot of the value's been captured by the early investors, and it's the retail that get left with.
But just sort of saying that, and there's some fairness into this. They're the ones that took all the risk.
Well, exactly.
They're the ones that put up all the money and the time and the expertise.
And coming in at the end, you've got a great pattern of seeing the success of that stock.
Exactly.
Or coin in this case.
Yeah. So you're right.
I still hate them.
They go in at the probably maximum risk, but they're after maximum return. And unfortunately, it's the retail guys that do get dumped on it at the end. Now, sometimes the companies continue to perform well, and the retail investors do handsomely out of that. So that's all fine.
Yep.
So back to Pulse Chain. So why did that come about? Well, there was a few technical issues on Ethereum, cost of doing transactions that was making it untenable. A lot of
with an S load basically.
Yeah, so any project that launched on the chain that was intensive in terms of using storage on the blockchain, it was getting hammered for fees, upwards of $1,000, $2,000 for transactions and things like that, which is just insane. So there was a need to come up with something cheaper, and what's actually happened is Richard Hart, the founder of what was Hex, which was running on Ethereum and was suffering from these issues, he decided, okay, let's pick everything up, create our own copy, and reduce the fees and get it back to a project that is affordable to run all these cool tools that we've developed on.
Okay.
So he's gone off and he's put a lot of time, energy, and effort into doing that. But what's
about 2.5, 3 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a long
time. It felt like 10.
Yeah,
but it just seemed to take forever. But like code is hard.
Yeah, so then you go, well, okay, this is just a copy of Ethereum. What's the big deal? But I think what the big deal is it's the community that's formed around this, and it's a grassroots community that really believe in free speech and freedom of movement, and they want a platform that they can operate on that doesn't have all these restrictions that the VC operated chains are getting placed on them. So wants to be real DeFi, and it is real DeFi. So what that means is it's primarily owned by the community, driven by the community. If something needs to happen on that chain, the community gets off their butt and they do it.
And the code has no admin keys. So basically, nothing can change. It is what it is.
So, not entirely true. So let's walk that back a little bit. So something like Hex, which is a smart contract that's launched on there, no admin keys, immutable, can't be changed, and that's the ethos that the whole community takes when they launch any other projects on there.
Yes.
So we try and launch things in a way where there's no governance. So there's no one that you're relying on to do anything. It's there. It's operational. You don't need anyone's permission to come and use it. And that is what DeFi should be.
True DeFi.
Yep, true DeFi. Now, that's been watered down a little bit on Ethereum and a few other chains because of the VCs getting involved and the regulation stepping in. So that's what the community is about. That's formed around Pulse Chain. And so what it means is there's little teams that have formed up, just popped up out of the community, developers come on board, see that there's a massive opportunity here, that they can build and shape something that they want to use and future generations can use. And yes, there's the chance of mad gains because this is crypto and that's what it does. But there's more to it than just that. You can go and look anywhere on all these other chains and get mad gains if you want. But we want to build something that is a legacy and allows us to have that freedom of movement, freedom of speech. And that's really the crux of what the community has formed around this.
Yeah, and it's a very rabid community as well, one might say.
But that's just the nature of that space in general. It's very tribal. You're dealing with it's Ford versus Holden, but but your money depends on it, sort of thing. So there is a lot of rivalry there. But I think when push comes to shove, they're all heading down the same path. They all want freedom of speech, permissionless access to finance. That's what everyone's about.
Well, that's kind of, maybe I put it wrong and using the word rabid, is the Hex community and the Pulse community, they are full on. And they help everyone. They help everyone. You know, they're up for conversations of full transparency. Like to me, they're like true crypto. you know, because it attracts that type of person.
Yeah, so fortunately, you mentioned that Hex had a pretty meteoric rise in terms of value last cycle, and that's put a lot of people in a position where they can dedicate their time to improving this chain and this network, and they don't need to be paid by anyone. They're doing okay in their own right.
Yep.
So it's given them this level of financial freedom where now they can just contribute back to Pulse Chain and the community.
And a lot of them are. I mean, you look at the influencers and, you know, the YouTube channels that are on Hex and the Discords and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's an actually amazing community.
Yeah, it's a massive community. It really is. And I don't care what you say. You can have the best tech in the world, but if you don't have a community of people coalesce around it, it's useless.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you can have the best product in the world if nobody knows about it, and it just sits there. And what Hex does, you know, it can create passive income. You know what I mean? Where you lock it up and you're actually earning yield. That's what I like about it, you know. So it takes away that temptation of just buying something up and to the right and sell it.
Yeah. So I think that's what we're seeing a lot of develop in crypto in general is it's now getting to the point where there's some really cool tools that can capture value.
Yep.
And what it means is rather than having a bank that has shareholders and they siphon all the value out of its customers, you've got people that essentially own the bank. So there's no shareholders. They're part if they're using the tools, and they're essentially users and owners of the system. So they capture the value that's brought into the system, and it cuts out all the middlemen. So there's no one taking a slice of the pie.
Yeah, there's no CEOs flying around on multi-million-dollar jets and multi-million-dollar
Exactly
incomes.
right. So
they all deserve it, though, really.
Oh, yes, they do.
So what that means is you can be very lean in the way you operate. So you can develop a lending protocol, which we'll talk about in a moment. Yep. You could develop a lending protocol that has zero interest.
Okay.
So that's the kind of thing.
Let's do that. Let's take a break then, right? And we'll talk about that after the break.
What song are you playing?
We're playing Screaming Jets, better.
Yeah, nice one.
Edge Radio Australia.
I saw them live, they'll go all right.
Lucky,
They'll go all right.
You can pretend.
I just love this. You guys are hilarious. Oh, jeez. So professional. Amazing stuff. Edge Radio Australia, of course, the Crypto Hour of Power.
Edge Radio Australia, Crypto Hour of Power. I should be a voiceover guy, man.
You know what? We're now.
I think
That's it. I think, you know what we're going to do? We're going to record that, okay? And I'm going to turn that into a promo.
Yeah, do it, bro.
That's as cheesy as it gets.
Do it, cousin.
Yeah,
do it, bro.
Absolutely. Are you guys ready to talk about crypto?
Yes, I am, mate.
Fantastic, because I know you have a great conversation in the break, okay, while the music's on, having a little dance, but let's get into it.
All right. Even though my headphones don't work, I shall power on. Are yours working, Jeremy?
Oh, perfect. These are too
Really?
They're
too good. That'd make me jealous.
Must just be you.
All right. So, anyways, there was a project that you would spend a bit of time on, and I think you're sort of associated with a little bit at the moment called Liquid Loans. Go into that a bit more, because I know they have a decentralized stablecoin and a lending platform. It's community owned, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's got a lot of moving parts there, but I think it's a great project. And obviously, it's good to have someone like you on board with my phone, so I just call up and go, "How does this work, man?"
You got to stand in line. I got a call waiting 5 people deep.
Cool. Well, how did you get involved in the project, and where do you think it's going?
Yeah, I guess this will sort of tie a nice bow on what we've spoken about today, where we start off talking about stable coins and the product market fit that they've found, and then we moved on to a grassroots community effort to bring about real DeFi, and this is that next level up. So this is something that's is about to launch on Pulse Chain, and there's a few other.
So it's not out yet.
No, so
have we got a launch date or?
Well, we're expecting this month. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But we've been expecting this month for a little while.
Yeah, about a year and a half. It's been about a month's time, hasn't it?
Yeah, but it's one of those things you've got to get right. So, like I mentioned before, when the ethos of the community on this chain is launch something, make it immutable so that it can't be changed and no one needs to govern it.
So that means if they've got mistakes in it, they can't be changed as well.
If you stuff it up, you've stuffed it up.
Right.
So you've got to do a
lot like a
marriage. Checks and balances. That's right. Well, you can get out of a marriage.
That's right. It costs a lot of money. The exit plan costs a lot of money.
Yeah, so this is essentially a protocol that's launched on top of Pulse Chain, and if we can break it down into a couple of different components. So yes, it is a stable coin. So it allows us to produce these, what we call a decentralized stable coin. So it's a coin that doesn't fluctuate madly in value or shouldn't fluctuate madly in value like Ethereum or Pulse or Hex.
Right.
It's not a speculative asset. It's tied to the US dollar.
Okay, so it's more currency than anything else. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, I guess it's for value transfer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a digital dollar.
It's a digital dollar, yeah. And it's important to have that because you need a flight to safety and things like when in turbulent times. So it's an important thing to have. And if you run a business, you probably don't want to be accepting a coin that's going to go up and down 20% in a day. You want something that can give you a stable value for that, just for that medium of transfer. So it does that. But the difference between this and another stable coin like we know and use, like USDC or USDT, Tether, it's not backed by dollars in the bank.
Okay.
Yep. And what that means is you go, well, that's a bit scary. What's this thing backed by if it's not backed by dollars in the bank? So there's a pro and a con to that. The good thing is you've then removed all the middlemen. You've removed the regulatory bodies that can come and impose their rules and regulations on this asset because it doesn't
have so much in
that's
reserves
right.
And stuff.
Yeah, so it's not touching the US dollar at all. So it's divorced from the traditional finance system. So that's a big tick. Now, the downside is, okay, well, if it's not backed by a dollar, then what makes this thing stay pegged to a dollar? Sure. And that's where the smarts of the system come in. So the code is, it's very elegant the way the code's written in that it provides a mechanism so that we can keep this digital dollar in peg with a dollar. And it's pretty clever the way it does that. And I'm probably too much to go into on this show to sort of break down.
The traditional US dollar is pretty well pegged to its value with hopes and dreams these days.
Well, that's exactly right.
There's no gold standard. It's print as much as they need.
The US dollar is pretty much the dollar of war.
Spot on.
But I guess the big thing is it's still backed by something. So it's not backed by thin air.
Sure.
We've had a few of those in the past and they've gone down in flames in a spectacular way. So it's backed by collateral, but the collateral we use is not the US dollar, it's another cryptocurrency, and in this case it's Pulse.
Okay.
So Pulse is the equivalent of Ethereum or ETH.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
So there is something of underlying value there that you can rely on. So if you needed to redeem that dollar for the underlying collateral, you could.
Okay.
Yep. So that's one thing. It brings about this stable coin in a decentralized manner where permissionless. But the really cool thing about it is the way it does that is we said it needs collateral to back it. So if you've got a bunch of collateral, in this case Pulse, you can put that into what we call a vault and you actually mint the stablecoin based on the value of the collateral you're locking up.
Okay, so they're not just minting stablecoin like by themselves and just saturating the market and keep on, a money printer goes burr.
That's right.
Basically, the only time that the coin is created is by locking up your coin's Pulse, in this case, into a collateralized contract.
Yeah, so
Then
I guess the way you could look at that is maybe it's something like the gold standard, where we used to have a bar of gold sitting in the bank, and we could issue a certain amount of dollars against that.
Okay.
So this is a very loose analogy, but let's go with that. So you've got some collateral sitting behind this thing, and you can mint a certain amount of stablecoin based on that collateral.
What, 50%, 25%?
You can mint up to 90% of the value.
Oos. You really don't want to be doing that.
Which you don't want to be doing that. It's risky because you've got a volatile asset sitting behind it. So if it fluctuates, you can get into what we call a liquidation event.
Yeah. Is it automatically liquidated, or is it like an alert, hey, you top up your account within the next 24 hours type of thing?
Blockchain is all automatic. So if you set these things up, you've got to be monitoring it and making sure you're doing it in a safe way. So that comes down to the responsibility.
So leave yourself a much bigger margin than 10%.
Leave a big buffer there and check on it and make sure that it's
the market is what it is, but like giving someone the ability to lend 90% in a crypto, that's a bit scary.
It is scary, but it means it can be very capital efficient. Yeah. And whilst these assets are volatile in nature, over time they get less volatile as they get more adoption and more value built in.
Yep.
So something like Pulse moves a lot quicker in terms of percentages up and down because it's a little bit newer and lower liquidity, as opposed to something like Bitcoin, which
heavy.
These days, if it gets a 10% move, that's a big move. In a day.
There's a lot of money being put in or out.
Yeah, so this will stabilise over time. So you've just got to let the time do the work, and it'll play out.
Yeah.
Now, the beauty of this is, I just said before, we've removed all the middlemen out of the equation when we rely on code, as opposed to bankers and CEOs and all the overhead that goes along with that.
The viruses.
Everything, computers and whatever, all the overhead that goes behind it is gone. So we've just got a bit of code that's been launched on this blockchain.
Okay, so essentially it's a bank without bankers.
Exactly, yep. So you could think of this as you are the central bank minting the coins into existence through this protocol.
Yep.
Now, that's cool for a couple of reasons. One is we can issue 0% interest loans.
Yeah, okay.
Because you don't have to pay anyone an interest rate. Now, there's a fee to mint each time you take a loan out. There's a fee, but it's I think it's like 0.5% is the minimum.
All right.
Yep, so it's a very small fee, and that is forever. So you could have that loan out for 100 years and never pay a scrap of interest on it. You pay that fee once.
Oh.
So there's no account managing fees, there's no interest, there's no, I think, the other 5 things that they pile on, you know?
Yep.
So there's none of that.
There's none of that.
Basically, you 0.5%, whatever, have it for 10 years, don't pay it back, up to you.
But wait, it gets better. I've
But
got,
wait, there's
I've got the
more.
steak knives for you, buddy.
Okay.
Bring it.
So, by virtue of... Now, I said the code's very elegant. So, we said you're going to pay a fee to create this loan. Well, where does that fee go? So, what we do is there's various components of the system that need market participants to come and perform certain actions. And for doing that, they get rewarded with the fees.
Okay.
So what it essentially means is the users of the system can be the owners of the system, and all the value that's generated through the fees and the minting of coins and things like that
Goes to the people that participate.
That's right. It goes to the people that are holding the tokens that underpin the protocol. So you essentially become an owner of the system, and you can actually get real yield out of the system as well.
Okay. So it's like owning a piece of Apple.
It's like being a shareholder in the central bank, effectively.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the kind of cool things that we can do.
Oh, mate, we are out of time. We're out of time. Absolutely. This is the time where you've got to promote yourself very quickly. I'm going to give you 10 seconds.
Sure. All right, so where can we get hold of you, Jeremy?
Yeah, so you can find me at bradshawknox.com. That's go to that webpage and you'll definitely some contact details for me there. I'm on Twitter, Jexa J. If you do a search for Jexa on Twitter, you'll find me floating around there.
We also find you on my website.
Yeah, for sure.
orangebrickroad.com.au.
Fantastic, guys. It's Crypto Hour of Power.
Best radio show in the world.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, mate.
I don't know